There's little doubt that the demonisation of asylum seekers, immigrants and the legal profession by Conservative ministers has helped to prepare the ground for the far-right riots we've seen across the country. Conservative attacks on
lefty human rights lawyers
blamed for frustrating the then Conservative government's immigration policy date back to the era of Boris Johnson's government, with Priti Patel as Home Secretary.
The do-gooders, the lefty lawyers.
But Rishi Sunak didn't shy away from using this appalling language either.
Exploited by lefty lawyers, lefty lawyers, lefty lawyers.
It all started in August 2020 when a Home Office video about immigration referred to activist lawyers challenging asylum decisions. Lawyers rightly condemned the video. Attacks on the integrity of the legal profession undermined the rule of law. Remember, solicitors advise their clients on their rights under the laws created by Parliament. To describe lawyers who are upholding the law as activist lawyers was not only misleading and inflammatory, it was outright dangerous. In October 2020, then Prime Minister Boris Johnson ramped up the rhetoric with this.
Lefty human rights lawyers.
The phrase has been part of the political lexicon of the right ever since. In his party conference speech, Johnson said he wanted to stop
the whole criminal justice system from being hamstrung by what the Home Secretary would doubtless and rightly call the lefty human rights lawyers and other do-gooders.
The Bar Council called what Johnson had said shocking and troubling. In July 2021, Johnson restarted his criticism of legal professionals, saying on LBC,
the Labour Party, the Labour opposition, that has consistently taken the side of I'm afraid, left-wing criminal justice lawyers against, I believe, the interests of the public.
In May 2022, whilst on the local election campaign trail, Johnson said of his plan to deport some asylum seekers to Rwanda.
There are bound to be legal challenges, but this is something that we agreed, the Migration and Economic Partnership is something that we agreed with Rwanda. It's a great deal between two countries, to each helping the other. And yes, of course, there are going to be legals, liberal left lawyers who will try to make this difficult. Of course, we always knew this was going to happen.
As legal challenges to the government's Rwanda plan got underway, Johnson invited cameras into the cabinet room to complain that the Rwanda plan was under a huge amount of attack, not least from the lawyers who he said were finding ways to unpick it.
Our policy, the Economic and Migration Partnership with Rwanda that we have engaged upon, are now under a huge amount of attack, and not least from lawyers. What is happening with the attempt to undermine the Rwanda policy is that they are, I'm afraid, undermining everything that we're trying to do to support safe and legal routes for people to come to the UK and to oppose the illegal and dangerous routes. That is what we are trying to do. That is the essence of our policy. And I think that what the criminal gangs are doing and what those who effectively are abetting the work of the criminal gangs are doing is undermining people's confidence in the safe and legal system, undermining people's general acceptance of immigration.
In response, a joint Bar Council and Law Society statement called on the then Prime Minister to stop the attacks. Legal challenges ensure government is acting lawfully, following laws agreed by Parliament. It is misleading and dangerous for the Prime Minister to suggest lawyers who bring such legal challenges are doing anything other than their job and upholding the law. Anyone at risk of a life-changing order has a right to challenge its legality with the assistance of a lawyer who has a duty to advise their client on their rights. The Bar Council and Law Society of England and Wales together call on the Prime Minister to stop attacks on legal professionals who are simply doing their jobs. In August 2022, during the first Conservative leadership contest after Johnson resigned, Sunak also turned to the lefty lawyer language.
We need to move away from the ECHR definition of asylum, right? It is, yes, you're right, we should clap that because it is important, right? It is far too broad and allows lefty lawyers to exploit it and frustrate our efforts.
Liz Truss took up the baton, telling GB News.
And fundamentally, it's about taking on the lefty lawyers who are constantly on the phone to illegal migrants, trying to keep them in the United Kingdom.
In March 2023, at Prime Minister's Questions, and despite lawyers having condemned the use of this kind of language as putting legal professionals at risk of physical violence, then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak again seized upon Johnson's attack line by dismissing then leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer, as
he talked about his legal background. He's just another lefty lawyer standing in our way.
The Bar Council issued a statement describing it as startling and regrettable ignorance about the role of lawyers. We've had years of these politicians pumping out this appalling rhetoric, deliberately suggesting that lawyers were somehow enemies of the people who were as bad as people traffickers in facilitating illegal immigration. And they've done it repeatedly, despite being warned time and again that using language like this and seeking to demonize people carrying out a vital public service and upholding the rule of law could put the lives of lawyers and court staff at risk. And now look at where we are. Every one of them should hang their heads in shame. Words have consequences. Let's not allow this to happen again.